It is time for Mortgage 101 here on News 95.7 with Clinton Wilkins, the mortgage guru, and myself, Todd Veinotte. Clinton, are you enjoying that AC/DC? Is that getting your juices flowing?
I mean, I like AC/DC. Why not? Who doesn't?
I don't know. Some people might not.
Well, hopefully our listeners do. I think people like to hear AC/DC on the weekend. I don't know about you.
I think they like to hear it all the time.
I mean, I'm sure you listen to it all the time.
I don't know about all the time.
Like, you listen to it enough that you're like, okay, I know which songs I want to hear.
Yeah, it's good drinking music.
Well, I mean, it is Saturday morning or Sunday morning. I mean, we don't know when you're tuning in, but you could be listening anytime here to us, and we really thank you for continuing to tune in. You know, we're back. It's Saturday.
We do. Thank you for continuing to tune into Mortgage 101 right here on News 95.7, in which we educate people. You educate people, and I guess in turn, part of this is I learn and people learn along with me. That's kind of what this is, isn't it?
It's education. And I think education is just so important. And I think it's even more important now than it ever has been. I mean, there's so many different nuances to home ownership and mortgage lending. I mean, rates are all over the place. The market here in Halifax and across Atlantic Canada has just been nuts lately. And I think we are just at, the first couple weeks into spring, and it's just been crazy. So,
yeah, I was recently listening to, I think the CBC did a whole thing. Matt Galloway and The Current did a whole thing. They dedicated to real estate and the hot markets right across the country. But a lot of personal stories about people who are suffering. Suffering might not be the right term, but who aren't able to acquire the Canadian dream, as you put it, of home ownership right now. They're shut out of the market because A, they can't afford it, B, there's no inventory, and it's stressful. So it's great for your business and for realtors and for those who are succeeding, but for some this is tough, right?
You know what? The people that I feel really sorry for are the first-time home buyers, the people that, need to get that foot in the door. For me and for you, we've owned homes before. We can leverage, our income and our assets and buy something. But for some people, we may be in a buy now or a buy never situation. Like, I'm seeing young buyers every day, and we do the pre-approvals. They can qualify for something, but can you make an offer and buy something that's within your price point? I mean, that's the challenge.
Okay, so compared to 2 or 3 years ago, how different is it now when it comes to competing out there for mortgage, or not for mortgages, but for properties?
For properties, well, I've heard from some realtors that there's some properties where there's been 20 plus offers. And, that's really a symptom of the increased demand and the limited supply of listings. Going into the spring, we definitely saw a spike in the amount of listings that were happening. So I think that's positive. But I can even speak with our business here. We are doing less purchases today than we were this time last year, which may surprise some of you, but there's just less inventory out there than, there has been. So I think if you're, considering buying a home or considering selling your existing home, now is probably a good time because, I don't know if it's going to get any better anytime soon. But if you're thinking about selling, I think now is a great time to get it listed because I can tell you there's hundreds and hundreds of buyers out there ready to make offers.
All right, for those who don't know what you're all about, and there'd be some new people listening each and every Saturday and Sunday, give everybody an overview of what you do.
I'm a mortgage broker here in Dartmouth. I've been a mortgage broker actually for 15 years.
Yeah.
And we funded over 3,500 transactions here. So no one knows mortgage lending better than we do. We know about all the nuances around income, assets, and credit. And, I think we can really put together the best solution for consumers. The market is so aggressive that we want to ensure that if someone comes in to see us for a pre-approval, it is a good, solid pre-approval and that they're pre-approved. So when they make an offer, they can make an offer with confidence. Things are taking time, Todd. That's reality. I think appraisals are taking longer. Approvals are taking longer. It's just the nature of the amount of transactions that are happening. I just mentioned that, we haven't seen as many purchases, which is true. But we're seeing more and more midterm refinances. We're seeing a lot of early renewals. Rates are at an all-time low, basically, and the real estate values have increased. So that's really enabling existing homeowners to maybe reposition, their mortgage or their debt. And, we're having conversations like that every day with our customers.
All right, there's a lot of speculation as to what's really driving the market, and as I mentioned, this isn't unique to Nova Scotia. It's happening across the country. But I'm hearing that there are buyers coming from Toronto, Calgary, Ottawa, places like that, people who are selling their homes there and getting nice money for them, and therefore they can come here and purchase. Is that part of what's driving this?
I would say that probably every third customer that we're talking to for a pre-approval is from Ontario.
Wow.
Which is pretty staggering when
Yeah.
you think about it. And, homes here are selling for above the listing price. And I think that's driven up maybe by some of the buyers from outside of Halifax and Atlantic Canada, because they're coming maybe with bigger down payments, selling existing properties for a high price, but they're used to paying more than the list price. In Ontario, this is the norm. Everyone pays more than what it's listed for. But it's certainly a new situation here. And I think people are just getting used to that situation. And I think probably our real estate prices here were artificially low for a long time. We've never had a boom. The prices, were really maybe going up 1%, 2%, 3% per year. We've never seen these double-digit growths.
What about circumventing CMHC because of having a higher? Are you seeing more people not having to go through, or not just CMHC, but any of these insurers?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot more conventional lending. One of the reasons are, if you're going to be really competitive on the price, you hopefully have a big down payment and you want to lower your amount of mortgage that you're going to borrow. Now, it's always cheaper to do a conventional mortgage. It's always cheaper to put down 20% or more. Now, not every borrower is able to do that, Todd. Not everybody has the resources. But I think for the people that can put down 20%, I think 20% down is the right solution.
All right. I would think that for a lender, that you want to ensure that if there's a default, and that happens from time to time, if something happens, that the lender can get their value out of it, the money that they've got into it. Obviously.
I would venture to say there's probably less foreclosures today, Todd, than there have been. The reason is people can sell their homes really easily. Like if you have a decent piece of real estate, chances are you can sell that.
Okay, but that's it for the here and now. But let's suggest that in 2 or 3 or 5 years, the landscape changes a bit, whatever, things can happen. Is there any concern at all, do you think, that at some point that if this bubble or if there is a bubble and if there's a bit of a crash, that perhaps people might owe more than what the property is valued at some point? Do you see any of that happening?
I don't see that happening in Halifax. And people are asking me, they're like, should I just wait for the prices to come down? And I don't think the prices are going down, Todd. It's a simple, recipe of supply and demand. There are more buyers in the market than there is supply. And I don't think the prices are going to come down until the market rebalances, in a sense that it becomes a buyer's market again. And I think that may be years and potentially decades away for Halifax. They're projecting that the population in Halifax is going to grow, 100,000 in the next 5 years. I heard a stat today that there were 20,000 new residents in Halifax since this time last year. That's pretty staggering.
20,000?
20,000.
Wow.
That's pretty staggering when you're thinking about it. We're in the middle of a pandemic and our population grows by, 5%.
Yeah.
Huge.
Okay, so what about development and having the ability to expand out? Because the real estate is what it is, and you've got the coast is limited as to what can be done coastally. Right. So what about that component to it?
I think the municipalities are going to play a part here. I think, any type of housing and homeownership policy really starts with the federal government, which then rolls downhill to the provincial government. But I think the municipalities play a big piece of the pie here to get the shovels in the ground. We need to cut the bureaucracy with getting building permits going. We need to get contractors doing new home starts, whether that's single family, whether it's multifamily. We need more construction in Halifax. Looking back years ago, we had a moratorium on building. What is that serving us today? Probably not. We didn't think we were going to be in a housing crisis, and we didn't think that our population was going to grow at this level. No one knew there was going to be a pandemic, but we need housing, and we need housing now. Rentals are at a 1-2% vacancy, and obviously we know what's going on with the housing market in terms of the limited supply for buyers to buy. So I think the One big solution is definitely around construction, and we need to streamline and enable builders to start pumping out more inventory. Now, that has a challenge too, Todd, and I think it really has to do with the amount of supplies that they're able to get.
Okay, I want to talk to you about coastal development. That's a story I saw in the news this week as well. But first, we need a break. We'll be right back with Mortgage 101.